Today, we are honored to be hosting Francis Kalule, who's the Regional Technical Manager at Zoetis. He will tell us more about that in the course of the conversation. If you're new here, you can find us, you can find information of everything we do on our website, mysciencejourney.com. We are on LinkedIn, we are on Twitter, we are on Instagram. You can follow us on each of these platforms. We'll be happy to, converse with you on either of these platforms. We also have a WhatsApp channel and a mailing list that we'll share with you as the conversations go on. We are glad to have you here today, and we are so honored to have Francis, who will be sharing his story with us, and hopefully you can pick one or two things from him. Welcome so much, Francis. We are glad to have
you
on MSJ. And I think we're going to start, with just an icebreaker before we dive deep into the science. So you've worked with both humans and animals, right? What
Yeah.
would you say is, who would you, I don't know whether to say what or who would you categorize as being a tougher patient, humans or animals?
That's an interesting one, Ruth. And to be fair to you, the animal patient would be more tougher, and the reason is the fact that he doesn't speak. He will only use a few of the signs, either by crying or something, but still it will tell you less. If you have been a human patient and in the hospital, you'll either cry and talk, but this one will only do a little bit of those signs. So it becomes a little bit tougher, but it makes you also a tougher clinical personnel that comes in to intervene.
Yeah. I mean, now you've shifted to work with mostly animals, right? Or are you still working with both humans and animals?
To a larger extent, I still work with both. Of course, a few consultancies here and there for the human side as well. Yeah.
Okay. That's great. So just to remind you guys before we start this conversation that feel free to type your questions to Francis in the chat. We will get to them as soon as we can. So if you have any question, anything you'd want to ask him, he's here today with us. So this is one of chance to actually, ask him any question in his area of expertise, and he will be here to answer it. Okay, Francis, so let's start from the beginning. What would you say sparked your interest in diagnostics and laboratory sciences? Was there like this, particular moment of, this is what I want to do, or do you think it's sort of like a build-up of things that happened, across your career that got you to diagnostics?
Well, I mean, it's an interesting question. I often encounter it in the spaces that I serve in, but to just give you a little bit of background about myself or diagnostics is when I was growing up, of course, I grew up in a hospital environment. Both my mom and dad happened to work in healthcare in one of the private hospitals in Uganda until their retirement. So most of my times, I spent my times in the hospital corridors, running left, right. As other kids were finding time to play in the park, I was finding my peace in the quiet environments of the hospital. So that a little bit positioned my thinking and where I had to head to next. But that said, definitely I later learned as I was growing up that diagnostics is about detecting. It's a little bit involves detective work. And in my early years of university, as I was, I would definitely go back. And in those years, I would take myself to hospital. Okay, I would take myself to hospital. And I was so inquisitive. Every time a doctor sent me to the lab, this person was interested in my blood. Okay, was invested in my blood, bring this sample. So I was a little bit inquisitive. Why does he want my blood? And it's that most part of the hospital visit that was scary. So
Yeah.
it sparked my interest why this person was interested in my blood and what basically is in that blood. So it directed my career aspirations. I really wanted to involve myself in that detective work. What basically do these people do in the lab? And yes, that sparked my interest to join first a course in laboratory medicine, which was a diploma by then, because there was no bachelor's degree course in Uganda at the time, that I enrolled for my university. And you could only study a diploma for 4 years. So imagine somebody studying a diploma for 4 years, and then later had to enroll for a degree. So between a degree and a diploma is a person who studied 7 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah, so you can imagine that time, but it's built around resilience and understanding what you want to achieve in life.
Absolutely. And since we are talking about, degrees and diploma, maybe you can speak to us about, your journey through being a biomedical lab technologist to now your current role at Zoetis.
Wow. Yeah. So just like I was saying, if I could run it a little
Yes.
fast forward from where I stopped, is that when I enrolled for the diploma course, of course, I looked around for the course that really that I wanted from, of course, the career advice of my parents, because I could see where I really wanted to serve. But the only course that was available was a 4-year diploma in medical lab science. And I imagine myself, my colleagues studying for 3 years and 4 years, a degree, and I'm going for a diploma for 4 years. But I took the step. It was a bold step, being filled at that moment, I could really tell that this is the time that I needed to understand the real meaning of lifelong learning, because imagining that after the 4-year diploma is not the end, I need to pursue other career goals and academic journeys ahead. So I enrolled for that diploma course, and it was exciting in the sense that in my 3rd year, I was recruited to work in one of the hospitals because by that time the health profession were few in the laboratory space. So I enrolled myself and joined, and I got recruited, and in around 2007 in my 3rd year, and I enjoyed the experience. I enjoyed the experience of working while studying, but it called for a lot of discipline, focus, and that is really key for anyone who is on a journey of studying while working. It is really to think about that. And when I got done with that, by the time I was finishing in 4th year, the degree course was now availed at the biggest university in Uganda. That is Makerere. That is Makerere University. So at that time, I had to rethink again that at the level that I was at, science keeps revolving. Even if, yes, you have studied 4 years and you feel you have mastered everything, science revolves. There is something greater. And that's when I enrolled for the biomedical lab technology degree. And that sparked my interest into broader thinking, into broader systems of health, because on the degree it was enclosed into medical space, but the biomedical opened up my greater thinking. And that decision that I took to enroll myself on the degree forms the background why I felt in when I joined the veterinary space, because the degree was a comprehensive degree study. And then later I had to enroll for my master's in public health, and which I completed while working, and all those key decisions that one has to take. How do you handle work and study? And so fast forward, I later also enrolled for my master's in molecular biology, which I also completed, and right now doing my PhD studies. So that's my journey in short.
I think even like before we continue to, your current role as Zoetis, it's incredible, balancing work and studying all the way from diploma level degree and masters. And I know, probably a lot of people are struggling with this because some people will be like, should I quit work?
Mm,
How can I manage? How do I balance, work and study?
mm,
And then if family is also involved and probably you're starting a family, then that comes in and you're like, okay, this is just, a lot on my plate. How do I get to strike a balance? So maybe because you have walked that journey, maybe you can share what
mm,
are some of the things that worked out for you in the course of balancing studying. Of course, you've,
mm,
moved progressively from a diploma to a degree to a master's, and now you've enrolled for a PhD
mm.
while still working. It's not like you quit work. So maybe you can share a few tips around that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ruth, you stated really a very valid statement. Work and study for somebody pursuing both is never an easy circumstance to be in. But for anyone out there to make it, you do not have to sit and wait for things to happen for you. In other words, there will never be an easy way to make things work. You need to step up. You need to step up. So there were a lot of challenges in there during my studies. One, I had to appreciate and understand that I needed to improve my skills. So the fact that you need to improve your skills from mastering technical skills to understanding broader biological systems, you need to add on knowledge. You can't sit and things will find you. I mean, this knowledge will find you in the lab. You need to look for it.
Mm.
So that was one motivation that I needed to think through. Then I needed to pursue education. So, and within that, of course, there are moments of doubt. There are moments of doubt. There is also loss of some things. You'll miss
Yeah.
events. You'll miss a bit of social life in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I lost relationships as well in that because of the career aspirations that I had. But
Mm.
in there lessons of discipline. In
Mm.
there are lessons of brand positioning. Where do you want to be? At the end of the day, what is the sacrifice that you are making? Where do you want to be? Okay. And then the focus. You need to remain focused
Mm.
because the environment that we're in, especially in the field of science, for anyone who is in there, and even now that there is interconnection of science and humanities,
Yeah.
you need to remain focused and know where do you want to be.
Mm.
That you have that picture of the brand that you want to position yourself out there, then nothing is going to stop you. But as well, you need to use what you have. You need to use the support system that you have. I was, you asked, did I have a family in there? Uh, yes, I did. As a matter of fact, um, uh, in there, I got married and started a family at just the intersection of my master's, of transitioning from my degree to my first master's of public health. So that means I needed to start a family. So that support system also there is very important. The support system that you have, how easy is it to sit with them? It may not be your spouse or your family, it may be your parents. How easy is it to fit in now to tell them and so that they appreciate the journey that you are going to talk to take? And this is all brand positioning. You are positioning yourself that this is where you want to be, and you need a support system. And these people are the ones that are going to push you. They're going to take you heights, and with that, you are able to escalate to some of the heights that you want to achieve.
Mm.
Yes.
Well,
Mm.
thank you so much for sharing that. I hope someone like someone will find this call, even though probably they might be live or they might not be, and hopefully they can pick that from you that it's actually possible, if you just need to find the support system and you also have to stay on course on whatever you want to achieve sort of like career-wise. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm gonna
Mm.
pause here and just remind people that if you have questions from Francis, please type them on the chat. This is my science journey, and today we are hosting Francis Kalule, who's the regional manager at Zoetis. Zoetis is a world-leading animal health company. It's based off the United States of America. It's sort of like a subsidiary of Pfizer. I think that's what Francis mentioned at the beginning. So it's spun out from Pfizer, and it's one of the, world's largest animal health company. It has 2 offices in Belgium and in the US. That's right, Francis, right?
Absolutely.
But Francis works remotely from Uganda and, travels back and forth to Belgium. So that is Francis. And if you have questions for him as we continue with the conversations, feel free to put them on the chat, and then we'll get to them as soon as we can. So just coming back to you, Francis, and you've talked to us about how you moved from growing up with parents that were in the health sector, and that influenced your decision to sort of like, get into health, get involved with sort of like health, and then started from a diploma to a degree and a master's, and now, you're doing a PhD. So from your story, it seems like you've moved, from human diagnostics to veterinary sciences to One Health. How did you make these transitions, and what did you learn from each space? Because someone will be curious about that, what actually, pushed you to move from human to veterinary science, and now you're doing One Health. And what did you get to learn from each of these spaces?
Well, just to elaborate that further,
Yeah.
I have worked for more than 10 years in human health statistics, and that's where I began my journey working with different government organizations, private hospitals, some of which I saw from their baby steps. Now they are sold to hospitals that everyone runs to. But seeing them grow in that space was really magnificent. But as well, working with the different government entities back then, and the different non-government organizations which are donor funded. And while working in that space, it sparked really my interest in clinical diagnosis. It formed that basis that I know now about clinical diagnosis, and the precision that diagnosis carries, and the weight of every result, and the emotional weight that is attached to every result, not just for an individual, but even for the family that comes with that patient.
Yeah.
So that was really a wonderful journey that I moved through. And one of my turning moments in there, and that sparked my my interest of studying masters in public health, was when I was recruited to be one of the national trainers on a program called Prevention of Mother-to-Child Transmission and the Elimination of Mother-to-Child Transmission, because I was working with a non-government organization handling infectious diseases. Majorly HIV, among others. So when I was recruited in there to train nationwide, I saw firsthand the value of diagnosis. I appreciated firsthand the value of diagnosis, not at an individual level, but at a population level, at a national level. And that sparked my interest in population health, because I could imagine, oh, wow, this is something planned for the nation. This is something that touches not only the individual I meet in my lab space, but globally for the whole nation and the entire world. That was where we are moving. That's when they were introducing the mother-to-child transmission and testing. So that sparked my interest actually to study public health in that space. And so I went on to work in the human diagnostics, and while in there, around I think the 7th year of my work with human diagnostics, I really wanted something more. And it is always good for anyone who wants to pursue a career to evaluate yourself and see where you are, and aspire for more. So in that aspiration for more is when I realized that I needed to understand, because I was so much delved now into infectious diseases, but I needed to understand the molecular mechanisms. How do these diseases work? I mean, at a molecular level, how do they relate? How do they relate with us and the environment. And that again sparked my interest to go for a master's in molecular biology. Now, there is something I want to say, that my transition to veterinary diagnosis was probably an unexpected turn. I would say it wasn't probably an unexpected turn, but because when the opportunity came and they interviewed me among the many, because that position was to manage the diagnostics of a country, Uganda. And at that time, it was a new field. And Zoetis had partnered with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and they were running this initiative. It was new to them, and they needed somebody with that experience coming from a human diagnostics. So the first interaction I had with them is the assurance that we need you to transition this. What you need to transition it into the veterinary space and give us what you have given the human space. So to me, that was a tick at that very moment. And I knew that I'm in the right place. So I joined that space, and trust me, there's a lot of learnings. I had to relearn clinical presentations, how animals present, and it's very different from what you present. But I also learned the intersection of diseases. That's when the zoonotic concept came into play. That's when I really appreciated it. Working with different stakeholders, working with both private and government institutions. And my journey with the veterinary diagnostics has really sparked up the business acumen skills that I have, the leadership skills that I have, the strategic thinking that I have, because I get a chance to sit on governance committees, on funding committees, and I'm able to represent. First, I was able to represent my country, and then later I was promoted to a regional role where I get to manage countries in Sub-Saharan Africa under the Zoetis Alpha Plus initiative.
Nice, amazing.
So, in that, if I would conclude with this, is that you brought in the One Health aspect. And to me, this is just a natural evolution. If you have worked with human diagnosis and veterinary diagnosis, then you get to appreciate the interconnection of diseases. And in there, I've appreciated that diagnosis is not only about disease detection, but it's connecting the dots and appreciating that diseases don't respect species boundaries. They will jump from an animal to you. You will have the same pathogen causing a disease, but named probably different, but the same pathogen. And that there is beautiful and exciting.
And now that we are talking about that, Francis, and maybe, shifting now, the interconnection between, the veterinary and the human diagnostics. So if you think about antimicrobial resistance and zoonotic diseases, being on the rise, what would you say, or how would you categorize that, as the veterinary diagnosis? How relevant is it for the human clinical sort of like diagnostic space?
Right. Over a period of 6 years now, I speak for that. And what do I speak? I speak basically for things that, and the first is the zoonotic potential. The fact that you have a zoonotic potential, about 60% of emerging and emerging diseases originate from animals. So, and who is better in that position to help you combat the next epidemic? It couldn't be COVID 2020 something. It could be something else. But who is in better position to do that? It's somebody in that veterinary diagnostic space. So that is one. And then two, combating the AMR threat that is on the rise now. Realizing that partly what you consume comes from animal origin. And if the drugs are not used well or responsibly, then you are at a risk. From that steak that you'll enjoy on a lunch date, through that milk that you'll have on your breakfast, the African tea that mostly all Africans will enjoy, or any bite of an egg that you will not miss in form of an omelette. So understanding that and the role that diagnostics has to play in the veterinary space, knowing that if we diagnose the animals, then we are able to prevent the spillover of these residues into our products. And that is true, but also the resilience in communities and being able to support the livelihoods of communities, because all across Africa, one of the most activity that supports our countries and contributes a lot to GDP is livestock, or better grouped as agriculture, but livestock. Most of us depend on that. And so for better livelihoods, if your animals are not well, then you will not be well socially or economically. And that therein defines the true definition of health, because health is not merely absence of disease, but also your social well-being. So in there, veterinary diagnosis then does not only talk about animal health, but it's imperative that it talks about the broader public health. And the One Health surveillance that we do talk about, if there is interconnection, there are people in data, there are people studying data science. These are key people that can bring the link between veterinary diagnostics and human diagnostics, or human health and veterinary health, to be able to interpret and generate this data that is going to be helpful for anything that is relevant, policy, name it, to communication. So veterinary diagnosis plays a key part. It's that missing link in the One Health aspect.
Thank you for sharing that. And while we are still speaking about that, maybe now you can tell us, more about your role. I know you mentioned that this is what you've been doing for 6 years, but as the regional technical manager, for Zoetis in the Sub-Saharan Africa region, what are your primary responsibilities? That is one. And then after sharing your primary responsibilities, maybe you can speak to us about a day in the life of Francis or a week in the life of Francis.
Wow, that's an interesting one. It comes with a lot of responsibility. The role comes with a lot of responsibilities at this moment. That I have a total of about 16 labs that I do supervise across Africa. In the different countries. Some of them members might be represented on this platform right now, from Nigeria, Ghana, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Uganda, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Kenya, Tanzania. So in my life, I need to make sure that all those labs are operating. They are trained people. So every now and then there is retraining and training, that is capacity building. There is stakeholder engagement with the different private organizations in the country and government organizations in the country. And there is reporting, because we have to report to the authorities. So all that work is piled on to me. But also I have internal meeting engagements with my team members, other technical team members that I do serve with. And then at the end of the day, we also have to retrain ourselves. So I also get my own time to retrain myself. So in a cascade of all those events, my work revolves around monitoring, supervising, and being able to support these labs to be to achieve their targets and achieve their goals, but also able to report back to where we're supposed to report, because in this partnership, we are working with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and we need to report back to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation of everything that goes on, but also the government, the internal government systems. We need to create that reporting as well, but also supporting with the technologies that come up. I'm the one at the forefront of identifying what is the next new technology that we have that our labs can use. So all that happens in my day, and that happens in my day that where I might be in the midst of a meeting, but after that meeting, I have to jump on a plane, probably to come to your country, your home country, not UK, but your home country.
Yeah, Kenya.
Absolutely. All I have to be in my car on the road somewhere for a meeting with another partner or an organization.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So your day revolves or your week revolves around jumping from one meeting to the other or going from one country to the other, sort of like a managerial or supervisory role.
Absolutely.
9 countries or eight, you said?
9 countries, and now we are moving on to add on other countries
Yeah,
in North Africa. So we're also moving to the North Africa.
nice. And so for someone that is interested in joining Zoetis or one of the um different, so there's different labs within the or across the 9 countries, and even as you continue to add on North Africa. So for someone that is interested in joining, what is the entry point, or what would you say is the entry point that they can access?
Yes, I love creating opportunities for I was going to say students, but wouldn't want to say students
Yeah.
only, but creating opportunities for everyone. But we are always students. We are all students. Even when you are finished, you still remain a student. And so the opportunities that exist, some of them exist in country, where if you are in that country, you have an opportunity to go and, of course, join one of our partners to be able to serve or learn something. I always say I would have appreciated that question to come in a way that for somebody who is interested in learning about veterinary diagnostics and knowing where they can fit in. Because if I say veterinary diagnostics, somebody will say, but I'm not in the lab.
Yeah.
Yet I might be having somebody here interested in data,
Yeah.
interested in biomedical engineering,
Yes.
interested in procurement.
Yeah.
So all those are skills that are transferable
Yeah.
in any space.
Yeah.
And I don't want somebody to sit back and say, I'm not in that space. No,
Yeah.
you need to holistically think about the interconnection
Mm,
of these disciplines. Wherever you come from, you can create. And the idea to think how easy you can fit into how your skills are transferable, not your qualification, but
yeah.
your skills can be transferred to that space, to that field, then the better. So those opportunities exist with
Yeah.
our partners, but I always encourage people to try out and have balance some time off in your week, maybe 2 or 3 days, just to go there and learn and see, does the interest, do you have that interest?
Yeah.
Do you see your contribution there? And in that way, something will spark within you, and then you will see best how you fit, probably as a procurement officer, as a data scientist, as a lab scientist, as a software engineer. On my teams, I work with one of the software engineers.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's amazing to see how science fits in. You get.
Yeah.
And so biomedical engineers, all of those can be able to fit in this space.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. So there's diversity in terms of skills and entry points to this. So in case you're interested, you've heard it from Francis. There are multiple ways in which you can get involved. I think the website would give a better overview of where you can get in from. And just to take a break again and also just reiterate that if you have questions for Francis, just type it in the chat box. I will be checking to see if there is questions, and then I will ask him directly. And Francis, so I'm just gonna pause on now, the journey and what you're currently doing, and a bit of reflection, for you particularly regarding what you've done, all the key or major initiatives you've done to improve diagnostic infrastructure, across the Sub-Saharan region. If you think about it, what would you say is one, or I don't want to pin it to one event, but what would you say are some of the real world outcomes that you are most proud of?
I would say one is coming into a role where there were hardly any veterinary labs that you could point to that are working, to 16 labs across Africa, while working in an intercultural or country context. I would say I'm proud of contributing to that. But as well, the opportunity that I've got to speak on events, on conferences, where I'm invited to speak, and proclaiming this gospel of intersection of One Health, where it has brought in other collaborators working with these organizations that we do partner with. To me, it is a good success. It is real impact that I see, but also the continuous training that you see now that veterinarians, among other users of veterinary diagnostics, now understand its relevance and the opportunity that presents to them.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So there's a question from Jacqueline. Jacqueline says, what is your advice in working between corporate versus research institutions? Is it possible to achieve the same satisfaction in a corporate setting? And I don't mean in terms of pay.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jackie, for that question. It's really a beautiful and unique question.
Yeah.
And why am I saying that? Is that how you see it, how you see the corporate work. And I'm going to say this probably to spark your interest wherever you are, is that the fact that you are at that point where you see yourself that, one, do I need a change? Two, am I tired of what I'm doing? Three, how can I make it better? Now, those three questions are very important to ask yourself at any level, be it in academia, be it in corporate, be it in research. When you see that I'm at that level of losing it, I've been in a place for 5 years. Do I still feel myself?
Yeah.
Do I need to transition?
Yeah.
I would ask you two things. Ask yourself, what can I make better? What can I change in what I'm doing? And what can I introduce? I was at that level where I felt that corporate, I was getting to it. I mean, about 6 years, 7 years, you are doing the same thing. At a point that you can even know now that
I'm sorry, I think we lost Francis.
I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah. So you reach at that level and ask yourself, what are you adding to yourself? Now, a corporate person, because I'm speaking to you like I've spoken to somebody in a tax regulatory organization just a couple. He's working in a corporate entity, but he's interested in research. He wants to shift, probably look for a research organization. I asked him, you mean you can't think that even this tax regulatory body needs a research arm? Doesn't it need a research arm? It needs a research arm. Perception of people towards tax. Can you come up with a concept and write it to your boss? Now, that sparked a new thinking in him. The person currently is enjoying that role and is bringing a lot of concepts, is energized. You understand?
Yeah.
So, and what do you need to do at that point? One, what knowledge do you need? Where do you get it? And how do you begin? I was lucky enough in those days when, and I'm just connecting these two stories, the one of mine and one of this recent person, 2 months, just 2 months back, because he was in tax, completely different from health.
Yeah.
And back then, when I was getting tired, I asked myself, I'm interested in research. What can I do? I enrolled for an online course, Protecting Human Subjects, NIH. It sparked off my interest, but I didn't know where it was going to take me.
Yeah.
1 year down the road, a multinational study came in. And they needed us to work. So they asked, you have to have a small a course on research subjects and protecting research subjects. It came there.
Yeah.
You get it. So it's the same thing that I want to tell you, Jackie. One, where is your interest? Think about intersections. I want you to think about that life has intersections. Wherever you are, there are intersections. You can connect academia with corporate right in there. You can come up with an idea. Maybe, how do I approach this company to come and probably we develop this product? With my academic experience or research experience, how do I work with them? Then you find yourself on events where these people are discussing. You can even go pay for that event because you are being strategic. So I'm trying to pick out some of the things that can help you. Don't sit. Identify where do you want to be. Is the research area that you so desire, is it in the same corporate field that you are in? Can you tap in that? Or is it in another field? Then can you get the support system in that area to be able to help you? And every time you ignite, every time you sit and pause and evaluate your life at a certain point and evaluate your trajectory and where you want to go, you will not burn out. Trust me, we all burn out. Mental health is real. You can't burn out, but you need to ignite yourself, evaluate, and see what next. Hope that is helpful for Jackie.
Thank you. So basically what I've gotten from what you're saying, Francis, is find where your passion is, whether it's in corporate or research, and where you have the fire burning, because at the end of the day, you need something that keeps you going when the going gets hard. But Jackie, I hope that answers your question. And if anyone else has a question for Francis, also just type it in the chat. We are almost getting to the top of the hour. So the earlier you type, the then if you type it earlier, then we can get to respond to it. So I'm gonna also just take a break there and shift the conversation to mentorship now, Francis. I think we all know or recognize the crucial role that mentorship plays in science and how that is relevant for career progression. So if you just reflect on your journey and just think about the people that have mentored you along the way, I wouldn't ask you to mention them, because then we stand in a position where you start mentioning people and forget us, and then then they'll say, Francis,
probably some
you.
are on this call. Some are on this call and I can't see them to recognize them.
Yeah,
okay.
So we'll not mention them, but maybe just to talk about, what would you say is the best advice that a mentor has ever given you?
Wow, beautiful. I have had a couple of mentors, and like you said, I will not mention them, but I'll mention a few of the things that they mentioned, they shared with me that touched me really. And there were three along the different fields that I've been in. And one, when I was starting up, he told me, sorry, may his soul rest in peace. He told me, don't chase titles, chase impact. Told me, chase impact, don't chase titles. And this, later on, as I was growing also in my faith, it really resonated with the biblical scripture or reference that says, the greatest among you will be your servant. For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. So to me, that was one big impact. I found it to be true that every time you chase impact, probably titles will come for you. Not the other way around.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely. That's gonna be a mantra moving forward. Do not chase titles, chase impact.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
The second one, if you allow me, was that the other one told me, use every opportunity to learn. Use every opportunity to learn, because the knowledge you get from that will be an experience that you will use in another field. And this was one of my immediate managers. He told me, use every opportunity. If be it an online course, use it. Be it in a taxi with the Uber driver, use that opportunity to learn. Be it just going for a conference, use that opportunity to learn. The experience you get there will be helpful in an opportunity that you will get. And I've seen that work in my life. And lastly, not every mentorship session or relationship will start with an advice. Personal experience. This has been personal experience. Not every mentorship relationship will begin with a word that come and speak to me. It can begin with an activity. Delegation. Somebody may delegate to you an activity. Somebody ask you to represent them in a meeting. Somebody may ask you to represent them at work. And that there, if used as an opportunity to demonstrate your faithfulness, your integrity, your honesty, that one there will spark a relationship that will last. And that person will be more interested in delegating to you, and then they will be more interested in mentoring you. So not always that you will have to look for a mentor. Mentors come through delegation. They give you something to do. They come back and give you something to do. You ask yourself, why is it me? The person is developing a relationship. So not all will start with a talk or a word. They will start with an activity. Ruth, go and represent me on this meeting. Ruth, go and represent me at this conference. Come back with the report. Come back with the report. Don't sit. Say, I enjoyed it. Come back with a report to that person. That is what helped me in my beginning when I was being recruited, the non-government organization that handles HIV patients in Uganda. The person entrusted me with the responsibility to run a lab. I was just fresh. He told me, taking you there alone. That person became my mentor even up to now. He told me, I knew you will handle it. Not all will start with a talk. Okay.
I love that. I was just writing them in the chat, by the way, so that when people come to listen to the video later on, they can also just like see the highlights there. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. So not every mentorship relationship will start with an advice. Thank you. So 3 advices that Francis got from his mentors that he's passing on to us. Don't chase titles, chase impact. And the second one is use every opportunity to learn, because the knowledge you get from there will be helpful in the future, whether it's in a taxi, whether it's with the taxi driver, or, you know, in the market or whatever. Use every opportunity to learn. And then finally, not every mentorship relationship will start with an advice or a talk. So thank you, Francis, for sharing that. And I know that you're also actively involved with the Tony Elumelu Foundation in terms of like mentorship as well, and also other platforms. So what motivates you to do this sort of like work?
Yes, my mentorship actually didn't spark off by major being recruited as a Tony Elumelu Foundation mentor. It sparked off early on while I was working with that organization that I was just mentioning, that I saw an opportunity to start an internship program because I was taken in a role that had 4 people, and the gentleman, my supervisor, told me, you're going to be there alone, and I'm only going to be bringing somebody to help you, and I know you can do it. So that's what I was talking about delegation. So when I entered into that role, the first opportunity that I saw, because at that time I was also studying, I said, okay, I need to introduce an internship program. And I went on to him, I asked him that I need to put out communication to students at the university so that they can come and enroll. And we train them, then after give them a little reference that they can use. He agreed to it. Fast forward, the program started. And when that program started, in there, because the students were being diligent, the relationships that we started developing sparked of my interest to start mentoring, to start being passionate about young graduates, or even those that are still studying, to be able to learn from those that have walked the journey before them. Now, fast forward to the journey that you're asking about, the Tony Elumedu Foundation, is that, of course, from the belief that I have, if I would say it this way, that along my time working in the veterinary diagnostic space, and before in the human diagnostics, I have come to realize that entrepreneurship is one of Africa's most powerful tools for transform health initiatives. And having worked with both of these human and animal, I've seen how firsthand innovation, locally made innovations, when nurtured, they can solve all the issues some of the issues that we are trying to struggle with, especially in forms of sustainability. I've seen initiatives from undergraduate students of small portable diagnostic machines and all that, different kinds of innovation. So appreciating, and also in my current role, where I told you I've learned the business acumen, strategic thinking, resource mobilization, system design, all these have helped me to understand that mentorship is as critical as the scientific knowledge that you have in stewarding health initiatives. So I've shared this story and these insights with mentees on the Tony Elmel Foundation under the Leaders of Africa initiative, where I'm also an alumni there. And so the purpose of this actually is not necessarily the road to say that I mean, I'm interested in mentorship and all that, but it's a two-way street. And for any person who's interested in being a mentor, it's a two-way street. I learn just as much from these entrepreneurs I mentor. Their creativity, their resilience, their boldness. I mean, it inspires me. And so I see giving back as investing forward into a healthier and more resilient Africa that we so desire. So it's a call for anyone who is interested, that it's a two-way street. You can learn, and indeed, even for anyone that is applying out to a mentor, it's an opportunity for you to learn from those that have moved the journey ahead of you. But even those that have moved the journey, it's still an opportunity for you to learn from the mentees that you are mentoring. So basically, that is what sparked my serving with the Tony Elmelu Foundation as a mentor, and also other mentorship platforms that I do sit on.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And I know I'll feel bad if I don't ask this question, so I'm gonna ask it before we end. You do so many things, right? You sort of like you mentioned, you're a mentor. You are managerial supervisory role, and even while you were still you're still doing your PhD as well. So even thinking about the journey that you've come and balancing work plus career and still being able to do this all mentorship or internship or running this internship program. Did you ever get to a point where you felt totally burnt out? Or if you got to a point where yeah, I cannot do this anymore, or you feel like you've been able to manage the pressures from everything you've been doing and you haven't gotten to a point of burnout?
Wow. Do you get burnout? Sometimes I do. What do? I ask for leave. Every normal human being needs a rest. Even God himself rested. So you can't say you will do all things every time.
Yeah.
You need a rest. So I do get a rest, and when I get a rest, it is a well-deserved rest. So for anyone out there like Ruth who wants to know what to do when they're burnout, is give yourself a rest and let it be a well-deserved rest. I've been fortunate that when I take that leave, potentially sometimes it's out of the country to a place where no network will work. And it's either me and my family, it's
Oh,
us.
that's nice.
Yeah. So it's being intentional. It's being intentional at every step of the way that you go in your academic career or in your professional career. Being intentional is one. And of course, trusting God that He will carry you through all that you do. Like I told you, I do a lot of things, even including church service.
Okay, I will leave it there. I will leave it there for now. So we'll take
Okay.
one final question from Anita, and then we'll sort of just summarize because we've hit the top of the hour. So Anita is asking, what soft skills or mindset has helped you along your journey?
I love that. And I can't go without mentioning this. Self-evaluation is really very key every step of the way. And the same self-evaluation that you do in other aspects of life, it's the same evaluation I'm talking about. 360 degrees. Evaluate yourself. Nobody will evaluate themselves better than you. You be intentional because you know you will not accept some of the flaws that are in you, but you will be the best person to give yourself the best answers. You may not just take them in. That is one. And then two, emotional intelligence. You asked me about burnout. Emotional intelligence is key. When do you know that now I'm in a situation where I'm working with people? I mean, working with different countries. Working with different countries, you can understand.
Yeah.
Down in Chikuyu, down in Yoruba, in Lagos, or up in Ethiopia, somebody speaking Amharic, and they want to speak to you in that language.
Yeah.
And how to adopt emotional intelligence is key to understanding the situations that you are in and how you are able to evolve. Those are transferable skills that no one will teach you, but you need to work on them yourself. Self-evaluation. I will not tell you be a good leader. I will not tell you about communication. No, you know how to communicate. You just have not evaluated yourself.
Yeah.
And lastly, being intentional. Be intentional to pursue what you desire. Ruth, around me mentioned this, that one thing that I would have knew, that I had known, if I had known it, it would have changed my life probably. And that's one thing that be on the lookout. Be on the lookout, my friend. Opportunities come dressed in overalls. I don't know whether you want me to repeat that. Opportunities come dressed in overalls.
Overalls or overloads?
Overalls, like overall you put on to go to a farm.
Yeah.
That's how opportunities come dressed.
Yeah.
Most of the meaningful opportunities, they don't look glamorous at first. They don't look glamorous. When I was growing up here in my career, becoming who I am today, I thought success would be clear, structured.
Yeah.
But I've learned that growth happens in a messy, unpolished space where you're solving real life problems, learning on the go, and building resilience. Don't despise any opportunity that you get. Don't say no to a role that is outside your comfort zone. Those are the things that will spark off the best interest in you. They will come like hard work. They will be disguised as long hours in the lab, volunteering in the field. All those are opportunities dressed in overalls. Somebody sending you to present on the conference and you don't feel like, all those are opportunities dressed in overalls. Thank you.
I was thinking you're going to continue speaking so I can continue typing. I can continue typing your nuggets on the YouTube chat. But thank you so much for sharing that. And I think it's very important to remember this because sometimes, like you've mentioned, we walk over opportunities when they are right, in front of us, and we don't realize until it's too late. So thank you for reminding us that opportunities, they don't always look glamorous, and that, you shouldn't despise any opportunity if you think that's just not in your zone. And I think the other thing I noted is that to be intentional, to pursue what you desire, and that self-evaluation is key. Maybe just remind me the first thing you talked about before self-evaluation.
Yes, I talked about self-evaluation, being intentional, and no, emotional intelligence.
Yeah, emotional.
Emotional intelligence. Know under what circumstances you are in at the moment and know how you should handle them. Be aware of the situation that you are in.
Yeah.
Do not sit back. Do not say, no, I'm okay, I'm well. No, I can push on. No. Understand the situation you are in. Like Jackie asked, relating academia, corporate and research. At that point, you are being aware of what your surrounding is. Be in the know of your surroundings.
Well, and with that, we come to the end of the episode today. And maybe Francis will just give you maybe 30 seconds to summarize and maybe to speak about something that probably we haven't covered that you think would be relevant to highlight before we sort of like wrap up.
Well, I want first of all to appreciate the opportunity to be on this platform. And these are platforms that are going to change the course of science in Africa, but also the thinking, the holistic thinking. And to me, one word I can only say is trust the intersections. I'm here on the science journey from a veterinary space. Probably somebody from a human space came in earlier before. Probably somebody in environment space will come in. But trust the intersections. You can never know where these all will connect, but trust the intersections. Learning never stops. The more you grow, the more you realize that it's not about the impact and what you know, but it's how you share it, who you lift, and the systems you help build. So mentorship, my science journey is a system that is building Africa, that is lifting scientists around the world, especially for the African continent. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Francis. Thank you for the compliments on my science journey as well. We appreciate you, sharing your time with us. We know you're very busy, but you spared 1 hour to be with us today, and we appreciate the sentiments and, even just talking to us about your whole journey. I'm sure that the people that have joined today on live, they've gained a lot from you, and even those that will come and watch the recording later on. So thank you so much. And with that, I want to wish everyone a happy day, night, evening, morning, wherever you are across the world. This was my science journey featuring Francis Kalule, the Regional Technical Manager at Zoetis Diagnostics. And with that, I'm going to call this a day and wish you the best where you are. See you on the next My Science Journey episode. Goodbye.
Thank you.
And with that, I'm going to call this a day and wish you the best where you are. See you on the next My Science Journey episode.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Our